Have you ever wondered if the shadows in your room move when you're not looking? Meet our protagonist, an everyday person with an everyday life. Yet recently, their life has been anything but ordinary. They've been observing peculiar happenings in their home, shadows that seem to dance in the corner of their eye, whispers that echo in the stillness of the night, objects that appear mysteriously out of place. Yet, like most of us would, they dismissed it as just tricks of the imagination, attributing it to late-night work stress or perhaps too many horror movies. With every passing day, the strange occurrences grew more frequent, the whispers louder, the shadows darker. But life goes on, and so did they, brushing off these eerie events as figments of an overactive imagination. As night fell, a sense of unease filled the room, but they shrugged it off and drifted into sleep, unaware of the terror that was about to unfold. As the clock struck midnight, the whispers grew louder. The protagonist, once lost in the realm of dreams, now finds themselves in the clutches of an unsettling reality. Their eyes flicker open, greeted by the familiar yet eerily distorted shadows cast by the moonlight filtering through the cracks in the blinds. The whispers at first are faint, almost inaudible, like a soft breeze rustling through dry leaves. But as the moments pass, they grow in volume, transforming into a symphony of hushed voices, each one indistinguishable from the other. It's as if the very walls of the house have taken up a ghostly chorus, their secrets seeping out through the plaster and paint. Compelled by a mix of fear and curiosity, our protagonist rises from the warmth of their bed, their heart pounding a rhythm of dread against their ribs. Their bare feet pad softly across the cold wooden floor, drawn towards the source of the whispers. It's a siren's call, drawing them in, leading them deeper into the heart of their home. The whispers guide them to the basement, a place usually avoided for its damp darkness and chilling solitude. The door, old and worn, creaks open, its rusted hinges groaning in protest. Beyond the threshold lies nothing but an impenetrable darkness, a void that swallows the weak glow of the hallway lights. The whispers, once a mere murmur, now echo loudly in this space, bouncing off the unseen walls and filling the still air. The protagonist stands at the edge of this abyss, the darkness before them pulsating with the rhythm of the whispers. Their breath catches in their throat, their bodies screaming at them to retreat, to turn back to the safety of their bed. And yet there's a pull, an inexplicable force urging them forward, deeper into the belly of the unknown. With a deep breath, they stepped into the abyss, the door shutting behind them. The whispers, now their only company, grow louder in anticipation, their message still a mystery, their intentions unknown. The darkness closes in, swallowing our protagonist whole, leaving us to wonder what awaits them in the whispering shadows. In the darkness, fear took hold. A palpable terror, born of the unknown, began to weave its insidious threads around the protagonist, who was left to fumble in the pitch-black abyss. The whispers, once subtle and barely audible, now echoed louder and louder in the confined space, their eerie resonance playing on the edge of reality. It was as if the shadows themselves were whispering, their voices intertwining in a symphony of dread. In this maze of darkness, the protagonist's hands met with something unexpected. An old, worn-out box, its surface rough under touch, filled with a mishmash of strange, unrecognizable objects. Among these objects was an old diary, its pages yellowed with age, the ink faded but still legible. As they opened the diary, the whispers grew silent, as if holding their breath, waiting. The diary held the story of the previous occupants, their words a testament to their horrifying experiences. Each entry was a desperate plea, a chronicle of terror that painted a grim picture of what lay within the shadows. One entry spoke of a faceless entity, an unseen terror that lurked in the corners of the house, hiding in plain sight. It whispered tales of despair into the ears of the living, feeding off their fear. Another entry described the chilling feeling of being watched, of seeing movements in the corner of one's eye, only for nothing to be there upon turning. As the protagonist delved deeper into the diary, they could feel the whispers returning, now a crescendo of chilling tales echoing the words inked onto the pages. The air seemed to grow colder, the darkness deeper, the silence more deafening. As they read the last line, a chilling realization washed over them. They were not alone. The whispers were not just figments of their imagination, they were the echoes of the unseen terror that now shared their space. The darkness was no longer empty. It was alive with an unseen presence, a silent observer, a resident horror. The shadows were alive, and they were not friendly. As our protagonists navigated through the darkness, they could feel the chilling presence of the shadows. It was as if the shadows had taken a life of their own, and they didn't seem to be on friendly terms. The whispers that were once subtle and almost unnoticeable now turned into piercing screams, echoing through the silence of the night. Each echo sent a shiver down their spine. Each whisper seemed to carry an ominous message. Their heart pounded in their chest, their breath hitched in their throat. The once familiar basement seemed like an alien territory, each corner housing a new terror. The shadows were not merely spectators anymore. They were the pursuers. They chased our protagonist, their movements mirroring the protagonist's own, yet always a step ahead, always a step closer. The darkness seemed to close in, the whispers grew louder, and the shadows, they seemed to grow bolder. With every step, they could feel the shadows inching closer, the whispers turning into screams. It wasn't just a chase anymore, it was a race against the shadows, a race against the unseen terror. The terror that was now not just unseen but felt, experienced and feared. Driven by pure adrenaline, the protagonist managed to escape the clutches of the basement, only to realize that the horror was far from over. The house that once felt like a sanctuary now seemed like a haunted mansion, echoing with the screams of the shadows. The walls that once held laughter now held terror. The rooms that once held warmth now held chilling coldness. The shadows, they were everywhere, relentless and unforgiving. With a pounding heart, they realized the house was haunted. The shadows were not just shadows anymore, they were haunting reminders of the terror that had just begun. The whispers were not just whispers anymore, they were screams of the unseen terror. The house was not just a house anymore, it was a haunted mansion, and the protagonist, they were its unwilling inhabitant. Survival was the only option now. In the face of relentless fear, our protagonist had no choice but to confront the chilling reality. The whispers from the shadows had grown louder, the unseen terror more palpable, and the chasing shadows unyielding. With a newfound resolve, they decided to reclaim their life from the ghostly grip of the haunted house. The answer, they believed, was in the diary they discovered, a relic of the past filled with cryptic clues. It was a journal, a chronicle of a life once lived within these very walls, a life that seemed to be trapped in an eternity of unrest. The protagonist pored over the diary, each page a puzzle piece in the spectral narrative. The words danced before their eyes, revealing a tale of sorrow and betrayal, a tale that could potentially hold the key to their escape from this spectral prison. As the protagonist delved deeper into the diary, they uncovered a ritual, a final desperate act of the diary's author to banish the spirits that haunted them. It was a gamble, but the protagonist had no other options. They decided to perform the ritual, hoping it would put an end to the haunting. Armed with the knowledge from the diary, the protagonist ventured into the heart of the house, where the whispers were loudest. They began the ritual, their voice steady but laced with fear. Each word echoed through the silence, a beacon of hope in the darkness. As the ritual progressed, an eerie calm descended upon the house. The whispers faded, the unseen terror seemed to retreat, and the chasing shadows appeared to lose their fervor. The protagonist could feel a shift in the very air around them, a sense of release, a sigh of relief from the house itself. As the ritual ended, the house fell silent, but was it over? The protagonist stood in the quiet, waiting and wondering. The haunting truth was that they could never be sure, but for now they had survived, and survival was a victory in itself. The silence was eerier than the whispers. The protagonist, their heart pounding in their chest, stands frozen in the hush of the unknown. The world around them is still, as if holding its breath, waiting, watching. The oppressive quiet stretches on, a tautly pulled string, ready to snap at any moment. Slowly their body relaxes, their breath steadies. The shadows are gone, they think. Their heart dares to hope, dares to believe that the nightmare is over. But as they pivot, a cold chill runs down their spine. They come face to face with a horrifying truth, a truth that freezes their blood and sends a shiver echoing through their soul. Their eyes widen in terror, their scream choked in their throat. The shadows, they realize, were never really gone. They were inside them, lurking, waiting. The shadows were not gone, they were inside them now. And as they screamed, the screen fades to black.